We're going to get started in just a minute, guys. Colleen, just let me know when we have the majority of folks in and we'll get going.
Give us about 30 seconds.
Okay, sounds good.
What is my...
Okay, we're ready to go.
All right, well, welcome everyone, and thanks for taking the time to be here this morning. On behalf of our Board of Directors and Government Affairs Committee, I want to thank everyone for supporting the Chamber. I want to thank you for supporting your community and your employee team. And I think it would really be appropriate to thank all of you for supporting all of our small businesses this Christmas season. My name is Matt Killian. I'm the president of the Brainerd Lakes Chamber. I want to start off by just acknowledging the fact that many of you, I know, are facing very serious challenges. I'm seeing a lot of faces online here from restaurants and breweries, events and hospitality businesses, health and fitness clubs. And I know you're facing some very, very difficult times. So I'm hoping that we can provide a little insight, a little information for you this morning. And just on behalf of the Chamber and me personally, I've been on this roller coaster ride with you. You've made the sacrifices that were asked of you. You've taken responsibility for keeping people safe. You've navigated this roller coaster of business closing and restrictions, and now a lot of you are closed down again, and it's no fault of your own. And what is personally concerning to me is that we're seeing businesses now permanently closing, or at least suspending their operations indefinitely. And we really now are looking to our state and national government leaders to deliver some relief for us. And I know the question that's on everyone's mind is, when is the help coming? And so that's what we're going to aim to answer for you today. And to answer that, I have very proud that we're able to get two of the most influential government leaders in Minnesota joining us today. I can tell you that I've been in contact with both of these gentlemen recently. And over the years, my years at the Chamber, they've proven to be excellent advocates for small businesses. So I'd like to just say welcome and thanks for being here, Congressman Stauber and Senator Gazelka.
Great to be with you, Matt. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, good to be here as well.
And Paul, I know you have a little bit more of a time commitment, so I'd like to start with you just to provide some update on what's happening down in St. Paul. I want to acknowledge a few things that the state has already done. The $60 million small business relief grants that came through the Initiative Foundations. I see Matt Verlick's on the call here, so thank you for the work that you've put into that. Tax relief, the deferments, abatements, the unemployment extensions. There's been a ton that you guys have done. You're heading back into special session again I believe next Monday. What are you expecting, and how are those conversations going this week?
So, and first of all, let me start by saying that, COVID without a doubt was serious, but I do think some of the decisions made by government have only made it worse. And so that's been my big frustration, being a small business owner, feeling the same kinds of things. The commercial property that has 3 out of 6 tenants not paying, it's just, it's just terrible. We're all in a difficult spot. And the most recent executive orders, I just think, went too far again. And it was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back for many people. We all recognize that. I would say the governor also recognizes that, these decisions are creating great harm as well. It's just trying to wrestle through COVID. I mean, it's impossible. And so I do think that there will be a package that comes out of the state on the 14th, probably, as long as it's targeted and narrow. And we do want to provide somewhere around $200 million of grants for all of the businesses that you just mentioned in your opening remarks. And we will likely pair that with some extension of unemployment. What I don't want is just to extend unemployment 13 weeks, which would be like $40 million a week, and then not do anything for small businesses. My first priority is the small businesses, and I'm willing to pair unemployment benefits with that. So what I could see is somewhere about a month or maybe 5 weeks of unemployment paired with $200 million of business grants. There could also be some tax relief or fees waived. I just got one I just want to read quickly here. I think that we might be waiving licensing fees related to some of the alcohol industry. They're also going to qualify for some of those grants. And the grants, I think, primarily are going to look at folks that had a 30% drop or impact compared to last year. We just really want to try to get it first to the folks that are most damaged. And so if we get all this stuff done, I think the rollout could be as quickly as a week after we actually approve it. And my one concern, frankly, is they want to do a lot of other things for homelessness and for all kinds of other things, and it won't fly if that's what we're doing, because I also have to balance a upcoming budget where it's just wild swings, but right now they say we're not going to have to use the surplus or the reserves, excuse me, in the next year, but they also show the following budget that we have to balance this next year. That 2-year budget has over $1 billion shortfall. And so they're going to propose tax increases. Often it's on businesses or others. We will do no tax increases. I'll tell you that right now, it's not going to happen. But that is what complicates all of this. The last thing I'll say as well, and I'll take any questions you want, is Trump and Pence getting that vaccine out. It's coming out December 21st. I'm actually going to do a press conference with the 4 legislative leaders and the governor today. But Trump and Pence get the credit. I mean, the speed at which this came out and still following all the safety precautions is amazing. And a couple things I'll just let you know. When they do testing, typically it's sequential. So they do one test and then another test and then another test. Well, they combined as many as they could. So they were doing multiple tests at the same time to make sure that the process was quicker. And then the Trump administration paid for the vaccines to be produced ahead of time. And then if the FDA did not approve it, the federal government ate that cost, not those pharmaceuticals that were making it. So add those two things together, and then an organizational plan to get it out to the states. It's amazing the speed at which they've done it. Minnesota's going to get, based on our population, so we'll get about 2% of it as it is produced. So 2% now, and then 2% going forward. And so that'll roll out. It basically it's two tests or two of the doses you have to have, and it takes probably as much as 6 weeks to actually fully implement. A couple things that have been misread in our media and social media in particular is I've never said, and I will never support mandating people get it. No way, no how, or that won't happen. So that's one of the big things that they said. And I've already had COVID. For anybody that doesn't know it, 4 days, not difficult for me, but I don't need the vaccine. And so some people were saying I was trying to jump in front of the line when I wanted legislators to get it. And it's primarily Democrat legislators that want to get it, so they'll come to work, because I'm paying people to work from home, and I need them at the Capitol. We have a budget that's almost $50 billion, and I need people butts in the seats doing their work. And so that's the only reason I talked about it, legislators getting it. It wasn't for me, and it primarily wasn't for my side. We need to get here at the Capitol to do our job. Zoom is fine, but it's a poor substitute for face-to-face, all the conversations that we have that just happen walking through hallways. And constituents or lobbyists coming in to talk about it. And so anyway, that's broader than where you wanted to go, but I just wanted you to hear that we are working on it. I'm upset, frankly, that I even have to spend government money for this in light of the fact that had we not done some of the steps, we being government, primarily the governor, had we not made some of the steps towards businesses throughout this thing, it would not be as severe as it is. But I will acknowledge that nobody has ever been through this COVID before, not the governor either. And so, it is what it is. So let's get the vaccine out. Let's get kids back in school. Let's get every business open. And if it takes the vaccine, then so be it.
Mhm. Thank you. I'll ask the question. I think that's on everyone's mind, and you may have some insights in this, and perhaps you don't at this point. But what do you believe is going to happen with the business closure deadline of December 18th? I know there's news now that we're going to hear something potentially here by the end of the week. Do you have any outlook on what might happen?
Well, in conversations with the governor over the last week, we have been pushing and asking for it to be reopened quicker, like now, but at least quicker. I don't have a clear direction on that, other than I'm not so sure he will do it right away, because he's had this sense of where we were going on this kind of stuff for more than a month. So, before he did the most recent lockdowns, he had the basic information that I'm sharing with you right now about the vaccine and it coming out. So it would not surprise me if there was a 3-month plan, not just this 1 month, but then when we got closer to it, what he does in the second and the third month. But so the quicker we get the vaccine out, the more we will all agree that everything needs to be opened up. But as soon as I find something out, Matt, I'll try to get it to you and you can get it out to your group.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to pivot over now to Congressman Stauber. I know that recently, I think this was maybe late last week, we saw a bipartisan effort that came out of the Senate to potentially advance a relief package. You've confided in me that you've seen some tragic flaws with the two that came out over the summer. And I do want to acknowledge your work, Congressman, on the Paycheck Protection Program by and large, with the exception of some lingering taxability issues. That's been a great success, $600+ billion there. And then the CARES Act grants, and I'll compliment my friends at Bladek that are down the hall to my left for really keeping their nose to the grindstone along with Crow Wing County to get literally millions of dollars out to small businesses and nonprofits here by December 1st. But the list goes on and on. What's happening there in DC?
Well, thanks. First off, thanks for having me, Matt, and it's great to be with you all again. I just want to give you kind of an update of where we are at the federal level. In August, the PPP, the original PPP ran out, and at that time, we had an actual bipartisan bill that really should have gone out right after that. So there wasn't that break in the relief or assistance. And that was the Steve Chabot bill out of Ohio. We're still actually contemplating that. Leadership on both sides of the aisle are working, hard to come up with a compromise that we can all live with. It may not be perfect, but I've heard from not only our chambers, but many small businesses on the $600 unemployment that was put in that first package. And that was one of the blind spots we saw. We're looking at, obviously reducing that. It looks like it may be around the $300 mark now, because we know many, many businesses that you all own that are in Main Street, Minnesota that are hurting right now. And I will tell you that we're working very, very hard to try to get something out. It looks like from the government spending standpoint, it looks like that we're going to have a 1-week continuing resolution to get the government to continue the government funding, because the government will shut down on December 11th if we don't do that continuing resolution, which I think we're going to do, which will give us another week for government priorities such as pay and military. But let's get back to the PPP and the COVID relief, which we know we still need. With our governor unilaterally shutting down the state of Minnesota, we have been inundated with questions and concerns from businesses. And Matt, you alluded to that there are some businesses that that are shutting down or not coming back. We can't have that. The 30-some million small businesses across this nation are the engine of our economy. And I'm a business owner myself. I'm entering my 31st year as a small business owner. It's not easy. And for those of you who don't know, my brothers and I own Duluth Hockey Company. And you'll notice last spring or late last winter, when the hockey season was rounding up, it was shut down. Summer hockey was shut down. Now we have fall hockey. This year has shut down. So I'm like many of you that are just trying to figure out how to keep our doors open. And that's one of the things that I bring to the table on the discussion, the real life experiences on the devastation of COVID-19 and how important the relief is. And so as we develop that legislation in our nation's capital, I'm pushing for it to get out. And one of the things that I'm pushing for, an amendment which may or may not get in, is I want those states that accept this money to be able to allow our legislators, not just unilaterally a governor or his or her staff, to decide. I want our legislators, both in the House and the Senate, for example, in Minnesota, to be able to work with each other and put that money, target that money to those small businesses that need it, rather than just one person in charge. And so that it looks like that amendment may not get in because a lot of the discussions are further down the road. But my sense is that we need our House and Senate back in a session to have that good discussion, so everybody has the opportunity to talk about the investments that they need in their particular respective areas or the constituents they serve. So the PPP, that COVID relief, is going to be discussed this week. We're looking at about a $908 billion, et cetera, package that looks like it will go. I say we're going to get something similar to that. It's going to be around those numbers. And the disappointment for me, and it was our speaker admitted it 2 days ago, that she did not want COVID relief until after the election. And Senator Sanders just made that announcement last night in an interview. To me, that's not right. We needed this a long time ago, and all the businesses are essential that you represent. You put your blood, sweat, and tears in it, and investments in it. So I think from that federal level, I think in a bipartisan way, we're going to bring something to the American people that is going to be good. Is it going to be perfect? No, Matt, but the people and the small businesses that need it, who are the engine of our economy, we want that out there immediately to keep those people not only on the payroll, but help keep the businesses open. The worst news that we hear is a business is shuttered and it's not going to open up. It's been too stressful for them. And one of the things I want to talk about real quick is our local lending institutions. We owe them a lot for the initial PPP and how they helped the businesses. And I'm on the small business and committee. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure was, when we sent that money out, that we gave the lending institutions, good information on how to do that. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't. They were on their own. They were flying on their own, and they did a tremendous job. So for those of you who work with your local lending institutions, you ought to just tell them thank you, because they helped us administer that much needed relief. So we know we're not through COVID right now. I've said this before. We're going to be a stronger nation, more resilient, and more self-reliant than ever before once we get through it. And we're only going to do it together. And so put the politics aside and invest in this program. And I'm not only on the House floor talking about it, I'm actually in working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to push what I think is reasonable and can get signed into law by the president. I mean, we're in a divided Congress, and so we have to. There's some give and take, and I think that that what comes out of this will be good. It won't be perfect. No, not everybody's going to get everything they want or what have you, but this is what divided government looks like. And we're really having, to be quite frank with you, we're having healthy discussions on the pros and cons, but I can safely say that a package is coming. What it looks like today, I don't know. I can say there was the $600 was a tremendous concern for so many of not only you on this call, but across the nation. Nobody wanted anybody to get more money staying at home than they could have working in their respective small businesses or owning their small businesses. So as we go forward, it's going to be something that I think that we all can live with. That's the goal. And, we're not going to stop working until we get this relief out to the American people. And it looks like the Steve Chabot bill, it's going to be similar to that, about $908 billion or so. And we want to make sure that that this next round of CARES package is targeted. And again, like the first package, it's used wisely. Our small businesses desperately needed it. And if there's one thing that I think we ought to do is make sure that our Chamber of Commerce and the businesses alike understand the hard work we're putting in to get it out to Main Street, Minnesota, and the Brainerd Lakes area, Duluth area, all over the country, all over our district, all over the country. So that's kind of where we're at the national level. And I think that the president will sign a bill that is a compromising bill and then get the relief out to the American people as soon as possible. One of the frustrating things for me is in Congress when 435 of us were brought back to the nation's capital last week. We had an opportunity to work on the PPP and these other relief packages, but instead it was we worked on, and this was Pelosi's priorities: drug legalization and banning of tigers. That was 4 days that we could have been working on this PPP or the continuing resolution to keep our nation moving forward and operating and the expenses thereof. So as we go forward this week, I'm in meetings every day, speaking with constituents, not only constituents, but colleagues of mine. We're working that package. We have good leadership on both sides of the aisle that are working together, and many of us behind the scenes trying to push leadership into putting resolutions and parts of the package together that benefit the majority of the vast majority of our small businesses. So Matt, I think you and the others on this call can safely assume something's going to be coming out of a relief package. Something's going to be coming very, very soon. I wanted it 3 months ago, the Chabot bill, so there wasn't that interruption. So, but again, for those of you who not only own small businesses but are struggling, just know that there's so many of us together. We understand what we've all been through, and I just want to make sure that we get this package out to you, your respective businesses, and to the Chamber of Commerce, the leadership that you have helped inspire to keep many of our doors open, because it's not easy during this time. And I will say that I've met some businesses in the Brainerd Lakes area that last March they were competitors, and now they're trying to work together to keep each other open and do what we can to understand that business can be competitive, and it is. Competition is good. But the helping hand that you all have lent others in these time of needs is tremendous. I see it across the district, across Minnesota, and what we call it's the Minnesota way. And I just appreciate having the opportunity to be here, and I'll take some questions and I yield back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the updates. And also, Pete, I always appreciate you being a member of that bipartisan problem solvers caucus as well, just to work to get things done and out of gridlock over there. So that's appreciated as well.
That's Matt, that's the, I talk about the Herb Brooks. The name on the front of the jersey means more than the name on the back. It says UC on the front of all our jerseys, and that's the benefit of the problem solvers. Party labels aside, do what's right, and I'm very proud. I'm glad you mentioned that because it is a big part of pushing this legislation forward. There's only 50 of us that are part of it, 25 Republicans and 25 Democrats.
All right, well, thank you. Paul, I don't know how long you have with us here. I would like to get some questions in, and if you have one, you can either type it out, or if you want to just let me know on the chat that you'd like to ask it verbally, we certainly can. And if you have questions specifically for Senator Gazelka, we'd probably start with those first. I'm just going to go the order that I'm receiving them here. I'm going to take this one because it's directed directly to Senator Gazelka. If the state funds come first and we apply and receive funds, will this restrict us from applying for the federal funds?
Hopefully not. That won't be the intent. So it didn't in the last go around, I don't think, for most people. So hopefully not.
Thank you. And then maybe this is for either gentleman. What guarantee do we have the money will actually go to small businesses this time?
Let me take that first, and then I'll let Pete talk about PPP. But
Sure.
Our definitely going to be tailored towards the industries that suffered the most, with people that have a drop of 30% compared to last year. So we're pretty focused on that, and I feel we'll be able to get there. Pete, I don't know what you have to say about PPP.
Well, I think that you saw that that the last round there were major large businesses, universities that had applied and they were caught. I mean, the UCLA, for example, millions of dollars. That's not what it was intended to do. And that's the focus of this next package, intended for the small businesses on Main Street, America, Main Street, Minnesota. So we'll be watching that, watching that very, very close. And I mean, for instance, a major university or Harvard University has an endowment of literally billions of dollars. That's not what it's meant to be. I think the questioner has every right to ask that question. It's got to get guaranteed to get to the small businesses. And that's the focus. And that's exactly what this relief is intended to do.
Senator Gazelka, this is a question. I'm going to combine two of them here. This is a topic that you and I discussed last week, and that's regarding gyms, fitness studios. It's the evidence is shaky as to whether or not we're seeing a lot of COVID cases come out of gyms. I would say probably not, given what I know about the numbers and what I know about how these businesses owners have taken care of their facilities and their customers. They're great for people to be active, great for mental health. There's a lot of benefits there. Any chance that you're hearing that gyms might be open on December 18th, even if restaurants can't be for some reason?
The only way that's going to happen is for continued pressure to the governor. That's the only thing that's ever made him switch once he dials down on a particular issue. I think that is correct, that hasn't been the place that they've seen the spread. I mean, frankly, when he did the 10 p.m. Bars, restaurants, I mean, I think they could link some of the more spreading was during that period of time, whether people had more alcohol, they were closer, whatever. But the gyms was not one of them. Churches is not one of them, and so, but he keeps some of those things close to his vest. And I hope that's the case. And that's why we want to include some of those groups in the relief that comes from the state. And couldn't agree more that we need to exercise. And I'll answer one more question out there that I saw, and then I got to go.
Yep.
How are our hospitals and clinics doing across the state? Certainly there was a surge that came as people went indoors. That shouldn't surprise anybody. That's what I said I thought would happen in a summer speech, that once we go indoors, the numbers will go up. And the challenge has been that we don't there's been enough beds and for sure, as we went into 24 hours or 72 hours, how many we could handle. But we also had to make sure that we had healthcare workers that were available. And the way the protocol was, if you're around somebody, then you got to be out for 14 days. So, talking to local folks up there in the healthcare industry, they said, yeah, we need more workers and beds are getting close because we don't have the workers to have the beds. And so I think the governor recently has changed the protocol, lowered the amount of time you have to be out of commission to help. And so that's good news. I think the fact that we will prioritize long-term care facilities and healthcare workers first is good news so that we frankly can get people in. But that was always the case. In the very beginning, we said when the surge comes, we just want to make sure we have enough beds available. Well, a surge finally did come. And again, it's primarily seniors. I believe it's under age 50. I think it's something like 85 people have died in Minnesota, and every life matters, but that hasn't been where the problem has been. The biggest problem is in our long-term care facilities, and frankly, Minnesota numbers are quite a bit higher than other states. So we haven't done everything right there, but I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. That is the good news. And if we can give a bridge for people right now through what Pete's talking about and what I'm talking about, man, I want this so far in our rearview mirror that we never see it again, because it's really been hard on our whole country. It's been trauma again on our whole country, not just the COVID, but all the fear around it. Everything around it has just really made it difficult. And God willing, we're going to get through this and look at our rearview mirror. So thanks a lot, everybody. I got to jump on to something else, but really appreciate, Matt, what you do. God bless you all. Merry Christmas. I can say that now we're past Thanksgiving. So take care.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Matt, I want to just add to what Senator Gazelka talked about. I wrote a letter, and I think you all saw it, towards to Governor Walz on if he's going to put these restrictions down to allocate the 59 million at the time that was sitting in the state coffers for small business relief. And I didn't get a response from the governor, but I know that the money was there. When you unilaterally shut down like you did, that it's expected that money from the CARES package gets out to the small businesses across the entire state. And right now, there's over $130 billion from that initial package that's still in the United States Treasury waiting to be allocated for relief across the country. So that's going to be part of that $908 billion package that we're working on right now. But the bottom line, this money, the assistance, the relief that was put out there was intended to help small businesses. And as I said, I sent the governor that 59 million at the time needs to get out to those that are affected and to give you that relief immediately so you can keep your doors open and you can pay your employees.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because it's not like our small businesses aren't willing to make sacrifices, and they have time and again, but they're not willing to lose their work of a lifetime to get through a temporary situation. I think that's important to know, and you certainly share that sentiment. Couple questions here from two members of our Government Affairs Committee, Jim Hokanson, I see from CLA, and Val Knutson from Advantage Seamless. This kind of popped up here in the last couple of weeks, and that is the taxability of the PPP funds. Certainly a lot of businesses in our area have accessed those. Is there anything in this relief package that would address the income taxability issues?
Yeah, well, we need to make that decision. The goal was to originally on the first CARES package to get the relief out immediately, and that really wasn't discussed. And so the unknowns is the taxability. And I think that as we discuss this, I've sent a letter to Mnuchin and the PPP asking for not to be taxed. And the goal is this hit this nation We were all in it together. And when those funds came out, we didn't say that if you applied that you're going to be taxed on it. And, it was a situation many of us have never been in. And right now I'm getting a lot of calls from businesses saying, this is the relief we needed at the time. Why penalize us on the taxing? We've gone through, we've suffered enough. We've done a lot of things we normally wouldn't do. I know many of you on this call have helped out employees personally when they needed it, just to help their families. This is what you as small business men and women do. This is what we do. And my goal is to make sure that that money, assistance is not taxed. I think that small businesses have been hit hard. Enough is enough, and I think this is just would add insult to injury. When this assistant came, it was never talked about being taxed. So, I sent a letter yesterday to Mnuchin. Again, we need to, as we head into the new year and we need our accountants to understand that that's not going to be taxed, and I really think it's the right thing to do. Those people that have never owned a small business, they don't understand the struggles that you've all, or we have all gone through the last 9 months. And I'm just really concerned that there are some people that want that to be taxed, and I at this moment, I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think that the harm that has been done to small business through this COVID-19, many of you are at your wits' ends. I just say, hang on, we're going to get through this, and better days are yet to come for each and every one of you. So the goal is to, and I'm working a coalition to try to have that, be part of the conversation. So my commitment is to work not to have it. But as you know, we are in divided government, so we'll see how that plays out, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you mentioning the helping employees too, because that's, I think, been somewhat of an untold story, is that we've been forcing a lot of our small business owners to lay people off. They're really people that become their friends and family right before Christmas, and that's just heart-wrenching to do. I did want to, I noticed as I was scrolling through here that Representative Poston is with Nick Miller from Prairie Bay and Three Cheers. And if you don't know, John is part of that ownership group. And John, if you're there and you'd like to make a comment, just unmute yourself and certainly jump in.
Is it
Yep,
unmuted?
it's on. Yep.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that opportunity. This has been very informative. Both the congressman and the senator have answered the questions that I've had. We're working diligently on this at the state level. I've been working on this, we kind of call it the hospitality team, trying to get this package put together that, like Paul said, hopefully we'll hear more about by the end of the week. So hopefully, Matt, that'll come out before the end of the week, and we'll all be able to get some relief, some support, and be able to move forward.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for being here. I didn't realize that you'd be jumping on, but I certainly appreciate it.
You bet.
And if, in case people don't know, John represents that Cass County and Wadena County. Is there, am I forgetting a geography in there, John?
Cass, Todd, and Wadena County, Matt.
Todd and Wadena. And I want to address the point that someone made earlier. I did not reference Cass County, and I apologize for that. They've done a great job, Commissioner Galswick, and I know there's a lot of businesses that are in that area, so I apologize for not calling them out too. Yeah. I'm not sure that either one of you can respond to this specifically, but we're getting a question here about the hospitality industry getting a lot of the attention and the fitness centers and the health and fitness industry not as much. And I think that's a fair point. I do want to say, I think that was Karen. Karen, I would like to get a group of fitness gym owners, fitness studios together, and let's talk about what the chamber can do to help, because we've been immersed in restaurant support, but you certainly deserve that as well. So if we can get that done this week, I'd love to do that. Any comments on health and fitness as an industry, at least here in Minnesota?
Yeah, Matt, from a state standpoint, I can tell you that the gyms have been very high up on our priority list. We know they're not a contributor to this COVID spread, like we've been told. We have made that a priority, along with restaurants, along with movie theaters, along with bowling alleys, there's a lot of things that fall under hospitality and the work that we're working on that are not restaurants or bars. A really good example in my district is many of you may know the Cozy Theater in Wadena. It's kind of the landmark of Wadena, right? And they were forced to close. They were averaging 10 people per movie performance or movie showing. Well distanced, had all of the right things put in place. There's been absolutely no proof that anything has come out of these movie theaters, and they're closed down. But it turns out to be a pretty good story, because the Cozy has decided to sell popcorn on the curb. And guess what? In Wadena, people are showing up in droves to pick up that Wadena and to support that movie theater that's been there for over 100 years. And I could tell those stories for a very long time about our area that we're blessed to live in, and how people are supporting these businesses, and how businesses are supporting each other. I think Congressman Stauber said something about competition earlier. Being in the restaurant catering business, I can tell you that my partner and I have been working with other restaurants and sharing any successes that we have with them, and they're sharing any successes they have with us. And it's been a tough experience, but from that standpoint, a good experience, a positive experience.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Matt.
you.
I would just say to Karen that your gym matters. It's important part of the community. It's an important part of our healthy lifestyle. And really, right now during COVID, a lot of stress. What a great opportunity to relieve some stress is go get on the treadmill or work out. And I think that's important. So Karen, I want you to know that your small business matters. And in Congress, we understand small businesses such as yours are part of our community and will always be a part of our community. So I just want you to know that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we just have one more comment here, and I'm certainly not qualified to answer it. I don't know, Representative Poston, if you are, that you're the unwitting pinch hitter for Senator Gazelka, who had to leave a little early, but they're talk about businesses being allowed to open up in different regions of the state. The only thing that I can say that I've seen is school districts were allowed to do that based on numbers. I'm not aware of that being even on the table right now. So I would say that's probably not going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Matt, I would say that that's probably not going to happen. But I will tell you that there's a lot of conversation about, one size doesn't fit all when it comes to how we support businesses who most desperately need this support. Mm-hmm. So that's certainly something that we're talking about daily.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think just to wrap it up, Congressman, I'd ask if you just have any closing remarks for us, and then Colleen, if you wouldn't mind putting that contact information slide up, and then we'll wrap up for the day.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks for allowing me to be with you all today to spend a couple minutes talking about from that federal level, the relief packages that we're working on. They will be a bipartisan package. I believe it's going to be a very good package. I don't think it's going to be perfect. Nothing really ever is, but I think our input in part of the legislation has been effective. So I'm looking forward to working across the aisle and have President Trump signing this package into law to get it out to our small businesses and give them the relief they so desperately need. And for me, constituent services, Matt, has always been the priority. So if there is a business or concern, please reach out to our office. And if you have a question, just ask us the question. We'll get it. If we know the answer, we have the answer, we'll get it to you right away. But know that one of the things that I really am fortunate to say, I'm a small business owner, like I say, 31 years, I know what you're going through. And when I'm at those committee meetings and talking about reaching in your back pocket, talking about the difficulties it is to see another, state shutdown by our governor, it's not easy. So I just want you to know that that help is on its way. And my philosophy is it should have been done a long time ago, but politics got in the way. So I think that the relief is coming shortly, but hang in there. And again, thank you all for joining. Take care of yourselves and take care of your families. And you all do a great job as chamber members and representatives. So
Yeah.
thank you, Matt.
Thank you. And I would just echo the sentiment that I know a lot of times when people write your legislators or representatives, a lot of times we feel like it goes into a black hole, and that's not true. So your comments matter, your stories matter, your ideas matter. And I put some information up here that you can get in contact with Congressman Stauber, Senator Gazelka. I know if you Google John Poston, you'll find his information as well. And what works and what they listen to is not the form letters. It's your stories, it's your ideas, it's your suggestions. And the same with the chamber. I'll put ourselves in there too. If you have a great idea that we should be considering, reach out, call me directly, email me directly. So with that, I want to thank you all again for spending part of your morning here, hearing this information. As you see in the upper left-hand corner, we are recording this, so we'll put it out there on an email and on our Facebook. So if you have colleagues or friends or other businesses that like to access the information, you'll have a chance to do that. So thanks again. If I don't see you before the 25th, Merry Christmas. I hope everyone can have a peaceful time with their families, and just really appreciate our small business community here in the Brainerd Lakes area. So with that, we'll catch you later. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.